If you don't believe yet that patriarchy operates like a cult, look no further than this ballerina lady. Seriously? Oh my God. Y'all know, if anyone who saw my video about the dude who took a chicken around the world, Monique, and how the way this man talks about the chicken is exactly how they talk about us, and even how they talk about children. It's about labor, the exploitation of labor, the dehumanization, and as my mutual who was on my live the other night, I'm going to publish that on YouTube in several weeks once it's edited. She talks about patriarchy as a cult. Daniela Mestinek-Young and her book Uncultured, go read it if you haven't. It's unbelievable. But looking at patriarchy through that lens changed my life. Looking through it, all of it. But this dude, and remember, we talked about we had the best memory. This chicken was held captive on his little boat in the Arctic. She loved it. She saved my life because she produced so many eggs. Basically, these men will die without it. If she annoys me, I can always eat her. It feels weird to say that now, but we formed a real bond. Didn't know anything about chickens, how to raise chickens, didn't even read a book on it. Decided to just take one on. You know, like a wife, a whole family, 8 children. Just, you know what, we'll just try it out. Doesn't matter if I'm not going to take care of them. Honestly, I didn't think she'd get to the other side of this adventure. He didn't even know if she'd be alive. He didn't care. Didn't care about that risk. Every time a man puts a baby in a woman 8 times, this is how they're thinking. I don't know if she'll make it or not, but it's what I want to do. Even though chickens are deeply social creatures, Monique seemed to have accepted this dude who took her on a boat. I'm telling you, you're going to see a lot of parallels in what I'm about to read y'all about that ballerina lady. This trad life women. This is about the chicken. I couldn't always do everything I wanted, but I was happy to share it all with Monique. See, I sacrificed so much to build this life of having a chicken held captive, but she loves it. She's choosing this. And right after he said that he'd eat her if nothing else, she was endearing. She made me laugh so much. It felt as if I'd always known her. And I did a deep dive on this, y'all. These are just some key points to keep in mind when we talk about the JetBlue Nepo baby dude who's married to the ballerina lady. Now, far be it from me to assume that this woman has no agency. It's not that she's not choosing this life. She absolutely chose. But this is why I do this work. And this is why I really suggest you read that book by Daniela. Because unpacking this stuff feels like leaving a cult. Because it's like we're choosing this, but how much are we really choosing? How much of this are we accepting because we're actually okay with it, or because this is what we're supposed to accept because what everyone's told us to do since the day we were born? The last thing that I want to do is infantilize a white woman. We know that society will already do that enough. Let's just, I'm not even going to talk about her. I want to talk about him. These are the things that I've noticed. Well, I'll talk about her and them. But I'm going to talk about that article that's been going viral. Some of the best reporting I have ever seen. The way this woman, she wrote about what wasn't said as much as what was said, which is so key in storytelling. This man looks so bad. But then I also want to add some other stuff that ties a lot of this together that was not in that article. So buckle up, we are going for a ride. Now, I almost did this story on her back in February when she was in the pageant, because this story was bonkers. I don't follow her account. I find any trad wife stuff to be unbelievably annoying because it is absolutely propaganda. I am not against trad wife and stay-at-home mom are very different for anybody who is new here, because people push back when I make fun of trad wife. I am making fun of this is propaganda. What is traditional? First of all, stay-at-home moms. I do not have a problem with stay-at-home moms. But what I want to talk about with stay-at-home moms is you better have your own money, and that better have in writing a very ironclad stuff where you are getting paid to stay at home. If you take nothing away from what I'm about to go deep into, one lesson: do not ever let a man control the money. You have no choices if that man has control of the money. And when you are a stay-at-home mom, unless you have your own separate account that money is being put into that he can't touch, you are in possible life-threatening danger. Maybe not now, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not 2 years from now, or even 10 years from now. But if you can't leave, are you really choosing to stay? if you can't leave, are you really choosing to stay? Some women can't leave only because of finances. Let's get into the article that everyone's talking about, and then we're going to get into this one, and then something else. This was in the Times, and I did not have a subscription to the Times, but so many people have been tagging me and want me to talk about this that I now bought a year-long subscription to the Times just so I could read this dumb story. But, I'm sorry, not dumb story, amazing story, but I hate. This was a hard read, y'all. I'm going to read it for you so that you don't have to. Also, I never watched that content because I find it so annoying, but now I have more empathy for this lady, because before I was like, oh my God, just annoyed that she is perpetuating. Trad wife, by the way, is absolutely tied to white supremacy. We'll get to some of that later on. I could do a whole separate video on that, but this idea of purity is directly linked. I'm talking about the United States too, okay? It may be, it's going to be nuanced everywhere, but in the United States, especially in the southeastern part of the United States, purity, a white woman's purity is what they literally created that and really focused on that being the foundation of everything in the South to justify slavery, chattel slavery, but also genocide and everything else. And then after that was abolished, to the perpetuation of and the terror. White woman's purity is what all of that hinged on, protecting white woman's purity, virginity, little flowers. And this crap is tied to that too. Encompasses a whole lot more, but that is the foundation of this too. Purity. Now, I'm not saying this doesn't exist outside the U.S., but I'm saying the foundation of our country is about this. They had to justify it somehow. Anyway, so when she was expecting her 8th child, she had 2 due dates. One was for the baby, and one was for a beauty pageant 2 weeks later. And this woman got a lot of crap for that, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But I hope people understand. Again, I am just giving an opinion here. But this woman, and a lot of people who've been in this religion, the Mormons, whatever branch this is, I dated a former Mormon. I learned more about those magic underwear, and I worked in Wyoming for a while as a raft guide and a ski instructor, and most of our clients were Mormon. And I had some Mormon missionaries, came over to our house every day in summer when I was in Montana. Like out west, I can't believe how much I know about Mormonism for someone who does not care about religion in general, but especially this. So I know a thing or two. I am not a fan of it. Prop 8, anyway, what? She got a lot of crap for being in this pageant, but her religion is tied to all this. And the Mormons are pushing this trad wife stuff more than anybody right now. Evangelicals and Mormons are pushing this crap. Ms. American, okay, this whole competition is so funny. I'm going to go into it later on after we get through this awful marriage crap. It is like transphobic, super sexist. It is like the trad wife Miss America pageant kind of thing. We'll get into that in a minute. I just want to point out some of the language in here. Her children literally swinging off her golden hair. She was talking about getting prepared for a pageant literally days after giving birth. She prepared for this pageant by taking ice baths, lowering herself into irrigation ditches on the farm. There's so much crazy stuff in here, y'all. Weightlifting, all this stuff, right? And including taking care of 7 children until that one was born, with no nanny. But more on that in a minute. No pain relief for these children. And that's his fault. So on January 2nd, without pain relief, no epidural, a 1-push baby, the way she minimizes the trauma of childbirth. I mean, if you have 8 at this point, you probably have to memorize, oh, well, I'm just not a baby. But reminder, childbirth is traumatic. And like my mutual Jamie says all the time, like a car accident, some people just walk away somewhat unscathed. Other people die. 2 friends who had to be helicoptered to the hospital almost died in childbirth. Both of those women were white. It's like up to 6 times as more deadly for black women in the United States because of medical racism and personal racism. Because it's not just the medicine, it's the people doing it. It's not just the system, it's the people in the system on a personal. Anyway, you get my point. This stuff's dangerous. She's like, oh, I'm pissed. The way that this woman's, her content is about like glamorizing a lifestyle that does not exist. This woman has endless money, but her husband seems to control her. And so her life seems like ridiculous. She is so exhausted. This man is just breeding her all the time. You know, she's just laying eggs, children. She's providing food, work, labor, companionship. He, you know, seems to really enjoy her. But like so many men, this man, the way he treats her just in this interview is so alarming. So even though she, you know, talks about a one-push baby and how easy this is, every once in a while, there's a crack in the story. She almost did it on the 5th day after giving birth. This woman could barely walk. She looked at Daniel, her husband, and I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to the pageant. This is a lot. I was bleeding and swollen and milk was coming in. But on the 7th day, she rose from bed, did bar exercise in the bathroom. Because, by the way, she went to Juilliard. She wanted to be a ballerina. The fact that the farm is, that her page is called Ballerina Farm. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but this story is so, ugh. By day 10, she was doing the spray tan. Day 11, a 2-hour flight with a newborn. Is that even legal? Like, I mean, it's probably not illegal, but that doesn't seem healthy. A newborn on a plane? I don't know. I thought they were like pretty susceptible to, I don't know. I don't know anything about babies. Somebody chime in on this. I just thought you had to be, a newborn's a little fragile to the environment. Anyway, I mean, a plane full of people, no masks, nothing. Anyway, her husband and 7 children. And by day 12, she was on stage. Luckily, she said she had stopped bleeding just in time to be a beauty queen. So she didn't win, but she made it through all this stuff. And you know, she's got like, I think like, what, she has even more followers than this. Imagine even having 1 million, much less this many. This woman is, this reminds me so much of that couple from the Ashley Madison thing, where that man is so awful, but he's just a good Christian man. He just, you know, cheats on his wife all the time, but he loves God and he loves his children, he loves his wife, but he literally exploits them and exploits women online to fall in love with him and fawn over him and be like, oh my God, you're such a good dad. This man, her husband has a big old account, not like her. You know, the only people following that account are women. How many men are following that account? Seriously, other than maybe down low men or gay men, but men make so much of money off of us. It's insane. Just like that chicken. Was this an ultimate act of empowerment? Neeleman doing what she wanted, or the ultimate demonstration of oppression, her tender body encased in spiky sequence? Neeleman, whether she likes it or not, was declared leader of the new controversial group of the internet, the Tradwives. So then this woman just basically goes into the story of trying to interview the ballerina lady. And this line right here, y'all. This woman went all the way, this is a UK paper. She went all the way to the United States, all the way to this farm. Like, that is a long journey to talk to this family. Went all the way to talk to this woman, that is, I can get her alone. She's saying so much with this, y'all. And you're going to see why in a minute. So she also talks about this pioneering existence. We're going to get to the pioneer stuff too, because oh God, I have so much to say. Beneath a big sky, up against brutal elements. I don't know if, for anybody who's never lived in an environment like this is how Montana is, eastern Montana especially, but just Montana in general, Wyoming, Idaho, like Utah, all those states, New Mexico. Oh my God, y'all. Those states, it is brutal. The environment, especially the more isolated you are. I mean, this woman is isolated. Just like the chicken who needs their community. This woman is cut off from her only community is online. I'm not saying she doesn't have other family and people around, but this woman wanted to be a ballerina in New York City. And this dude made her marry him before she wanted to and moved her out to Brazil. Knocked her up right away. He isolates her with babies and even with location. And just like cults and just like abusers, the isolation and constant work This woman has way too much money to be doing this much work. No nanny? And like, I first started, like, I thought she just like bakes and crap. No, this woman is like hauling, always carrying milk and heavy crap. They're just endless. There's just children everywhere, free range children. And honestly, like, before I read this article, I was like, whatever, they got to be paying people to do all this. I honestly think that despite having the money to absolutely have childcare for all these, this man, and Cecilia Regina has talked about this a lot. Her and I are doing a live on August 7th, I think. More info soon. Join my Patreon for that. Her and I are going live together. Cecilia is the one who really helped me see this, is that so many men will literally burden their partners with endless labor. Even if you've done the things they've asked, they're like, I don't like it this way. Can you do it this way? Or they'll make things messy just to keep you busy. Because the busier you are, the more, and you know, and there's so, like, and Daniela talks about this. It's about coercive control. And the same way cults do it, this is what partners do too. Endless labor, sleep deprivation, trapping you financially, trapping you with babies. It is literally, you are so burnt out. Why? You can't even leave if you want to because you don't have the motivation or the confidence or the resources a lot of times. Again, this woman, I think, comes from, I don't know, she doesn't come from a $1 billion daddy, JetBlue. It's questionable about how much money I don't think she's not, I don't know if she was rich. Sounds like she wasn't. It seems like her siblings are rich, whatever. I don't know. I could only handle deep diving so much of these people, y'all. Being married to this man, she should have access to endless resources. But I'm not convinced she has any access to them. This dude probably controls all the money. And the fact that they have their kids wearing this Pioneer crap is so ridiculous. We're going to talk about Pioneer Day in a minute because this is all playing into the same thing. We knew exactly how this man thinks. Towards the end, I'm going to show you some examples. It's not even just her. I mean, the children, all they do is work. And as Daniela would say, when she was, her book about cults, all she did was work. They had the children working all the time. Pregnant women were making, I mean, seriously, it's just exploit labor, keep them busy. You know, they're all homeschooled. So of course their education is going to be very Mormonish. And a lot of these trad wives and a lot of these homeschool stuff, not against homeschooling necessarily, but a lot of them are, it's like evangelicals and like religious people who are controlling what these kids learn and actually purposely like keeping them like behind. Some of the stuff that moms are posting online about the level that their kids are at, it's like, dude, they should be able to read by now. What are you doing? That's what the right is doing. They're making even an education a bad thing. Not only are they like banning books, white women, moms of liberty, this reincarnation of Daughters of a Confederacy, if I've ever seen it. They're responsible for all the books that I learned from being unbelievably racist because of the way they're written. And these stupid statues everywhere of all these Civil War dudes. Those were white women who did that. White women, get on board. This life is not what you want. Do not buy this. Oh, even the gifts they buy these kids, it's like, what the hell? Even one video of him, look at that. He's holding a broom sitting there, making the children and her do all the work. But he's holding a broom just sitting there filming them. I'm not saying that he doesn't work, but also, he employs a lot of people to do all this work, but won't employ people to take care of the 8 children he made. But he's so involved, such an involved dad. Yeah, right. This is for his Instagram. The elements here in Utah, I imagine, are just as hard, if not harder, as they are in Montana or Wyoming or New Mexico or the other places I've lived. It is hard. It's isolating. The elements, I can't stress how much the elements alone beat you down. Like working in these elements outside, that's what I did. I worked in the wind, the sun, the endless, like, but it's the isolation factor. This woman is, and all these kids are doing all this labor and they're out in the middle of nowhere. This woman, remind you, wanted to be a ballerina in New York City, and this is what she's doing. They even point, her husband has an all-American steak of a husband, square-jawed and dim. I love that. This is my new favorite, one of my new favorite writers. Look at this crap. This is propaganda. So when she finally goes to their house, it's photogenic chaos. Antique wooden counters, all this crap, right? I count 28 pairs of shoes by the door. It's so good to meet you, she says, walking in, a tiny blonde beauty queen, her hair wet and cheeks flushed and possibly pretty. She takes the baby from her husband. She will not leave Neeleman's chest for the 4 hours we're together. So she actually never gets this woman alone because there's a baby on her or a bunch of children on her all time. But pay attention to the husband. Pay attention to the husband's behavior. So just a little backstory. She was a devout Mormon who was raised in a Mormon family. She bakes perfectly sourdough loaves, milks cows straight into her coffee pot, and gives birth by candlelight with no pain relief. This man hates her. Do not fall for this. This is not where we're heading right now. This is not where we want to be going. This Little House on the Prairie crap is seeped in white supremacy culture. I'm not calling them, but what I'm saying is everything they're doing is propaganda for that kind of thing, because it is tied to patriarchy like this. This patriarchy would not exist without white women and all the stuff that they want us to do to keep it going. And having a bunch of little white babies is one part of it. Anyway, living out here, it must be hard to envision all the millions of eyes watching them. I feel like we're doing what God wants, Neeleman says. We're on his errand a little bit, Daniel adds. We're on his errand a little bit, she repeats. This writer, like, so good. Now, people have had, she's been in controversy. People can't stand her. They love her or they can't stand her. They're usually not neutral. She's been in social media storms for a while. There was one after she said at another pageant that she feels most empowered after she has a baby. Now, granted, this is meant to get child-free women and moms to hate each other and moms to hate other moms, because moms, think about it, moms who have really easy childbirth and just can move on, or easy childbirth and access to resources, right? So they can, like someone who helped them. If they have a husband who actually gives a crap about them and is doing a lot, they can hire help. If they have access to all of these things that make their lives easier as moms, they're going to pit them against the moms who don't have that. We're going to pit the moms who have easier childbirth versus the ones who almost die and who are like, what do you mean you got to go do there's no way I'm going to do all that after I have a baby. I need to recover. And so they feel like bad moms are inadequate. And these women, you know what I mean? Like, they pit moms against each other. Like, in the United States, everything is competitive. It's insane. Everything is, including mothering. And so you got all these different camps not liking each other. And then the moms don't like not all. A lot of child-free women are hard on moms because we don't want to do that. And a lot of moms are hard on us because they're like, why aren't you doing this? And that's the point. Get us to infight so that we don't actually go after the thing that is really oppressing all of us. So you know what? Having a baby, if you have a baby, you should feel empowered. You literally did one of the hardest things that a human can do. And it's also a way to reduce women to just breeders. To quote Taylor Swift's mustachy, sorry, I'm not a Swiftie, I don't hate her, but like, that man called her women breeders. Anyway, she did encourage traditional medicine over whatever. Like, the trad wife to the alt-right pipeline is so fast. So is the yoga, crunchy mom, like, alt-right. I mean, I'm telling you, not always, but I'm just saying, if you are in those spaces, be very careful, because there are a lot of people in those spaces who are radicalizing women, trying to eat healthy, or take care of their body, to just believe all this crazy stuff, right? So when asked about like how she's dealing with all the criticism she gets, Daniel's good about that, she says, looking at her husband. He says you can't lean into what people are saying or the titles people are putting on you. You just have to live your life and shut that out, because if not, it will. And I agree with that on some level. As somebody, a woman online, for a living now, I understand we have to figure out a way to like not take this too personal, how to like distance ourselves from the comment sections a lot of times. We get trolled by men all the time. We get trolled by women haters too. So I agree with this on some level. But the problem is that she's cutting it off so much that she can't actually hear women who are pointing out that this is not okay, or pointing out any real criticism, right? She probably won't be watching this video or any other one. But if you hear this, blink, ballerina lady. I'm sorry, I know you have a name, but I create nicknames to help people stay with the narrative in my story. you're in danger. You're in so much danger. I hope you have money in savings, and I hope you don't die giving birth to any more children. Anyway, but look at this. It doesn't have an impact on her at all. She said, this is her asking the husband. So she's like, she has a hard time believing it doesn't impact her at all. And so she's like, well, I mean, it does. I'll hear things. It's no fun. Like, look at this. She pauses, looking up at Daniel, who is now standing behind her. So, of course, again, the writer points out all the time how she's constantly deferring to him. And if she's not, he's interrupting her. So what do you think upsets us most? For whatever reason, I think I'm kind of numb to it. Of course you are. You're a man online. Nobody's criticizing you like they are her. And he just doesn't care. He doesn't have to care. He's just living his best life with, I think there's like a breeding, and this man has it, where these men who want this many kids, I'm telling you, it's just like chickens. They do not want children. Those kids are like mini-me's. They are just like little foot soldiers of his ego. You do not want to parent all these kids. Now, actually, even if you watch the video, it seems like he's like has fun with the kids. He's also, remember, family vloggers are performing. Just remember that Ashley Madison dude? He just seemed like the best dad. He just seemed like the most caring husband. And they even admitted that he didn't do that until they started that YouTube channel. She literally said in that Ashley Madison thing that he started helping her around the house, doing all this cute stuff. Like, it's all performance. So I don't even believe that this crap he's doing on Instagram, I don't even believe he cares about these kids. Like, you don't know people on the internet. Y'all don't know me. Please don't assume that I am all the things you think I am. You know, I try to be as authentic as possible. But like at the end of the day, you don't know me. I don't know you. I don't know Brad Pitt, and I don't want to. I don't know like any of the people I look up to in the media. I also I love Jane Fonda. I would love to meet her. That is, please let me meet her before her days are over. Her and Lily Tomlin. But I don't know. She could be a total jerk in person. It's not what I've heard, but you know what I mean? We don't know. But their whole business is based on being this happy, perfect family. Why would he not be playing with his kids in the videos? It's stuff like this, though. Just watch. So it goes on to talk about just this trad wife thing, about how it's usually free-range children, women's voices that are soft and breathy. The lifestyle is almost always, it's often, though not always, bound to Christianity. And then she goes into kind of the history of it, how like fourth wave feminism brought like the girl boss era, and how that ended up being very empty. Because remember, like Sheryl Sandberg was like, lean in. And then we find out later on the only reason she was able to lean in, I think Therese said this. Y'all know my mutual Therese, love her, follow her. I think she was the one who told me this. That Sheryl Sandberg later said that the only reason she was able to lean in is because her husband was doing everything or something. Like even the messages, like every single thing that they try to tell women, oh, you should do this. We find out later on that the situation was so different than we thought, and so it like falls short. Plus, I don't want like women acting like men at work. Women are already doing too much. Don't lean in, lean out, sit down, rest. Because this individualistic white feminism is not the solution to this hellscape. And it doesn't work for anyone unless you're like a millionaire anyway. So then she kind of talks more about how like there's just this back and forth between mom about just the idea around motherhood and all this stuff. Like, it's a really interesting read, y'all. I'm not going to go into all this. But basically, so as a reaction to both the girl bosses and the frazzled mothers, because for a little while it was like, oh, let's talk about how hard it is to be a parent. Had your wine mom, have wine every day, whatever. Now we're like at this aesthetic crap again. Like, oh my God, this is like my natural calling. And believe me, I'm saying all this as somebody who I am forever grateful to mothers. One reason why I talk about them so much, they are exploited more than anyone else on the planet. And our worship of mothers, while at the same time taking a big old dump on them and not appreciating them, but worshiping them but not appreciating them, exploiting them but not paying them, worshiping them but not valuing them. I have a problem with that. That hurts moms and hurts child-free women too. It hurts everybody except like rich white dudes. And so these trad wife people are like rejecting the life that's about power and success and all that stuff. Elevated the gentle, domestic, blah, 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 as an almost divine state. But the funny thing about this is this, they basically, it's not feminism that women hate, it's capitalism. Like, basically the right has taken, they're like, oh, women are tired of working so hard and then coming home and working the second shift. And they are working, everything they earn goes to paying for childcare. They don't want to do that. So instead of actually, you know, funding public services like childcare, healthcare, maternity leave, they're like, Anna, we'll convince them that feminism is the problem, not capitalism. Definitely not purity culture or any of these systems of oppression. It's feminism has made them miss having time with their children. It is ruining their marriages. It's everything. And you know, the critiques against this, of all the things like that women are rightfully upset about when they have children, is like it's almost impossible unless you have money to actually parent and work full-time and deal with all this crap, especially if you have a partner who sucks, which most women do. When I say sucks, I mean it does not unpacking patriarchy and entitlement and doesn't see it as a labor issue, so they're just not doing what they should, and they end up becoming another child in her home. So a lot of women just want to stay home. The problem with that, I'm not saying don't stay home. What I'm saying is they are feeding this, but you need money. You need money. Money is power. Without money, you have no power. Without money, you have no choices. Without money, you cannot leave. Without money, you are stuck. So you have to hinge your entire future on the fact that on the chance that your husband isn't going to leave you in the family. If he finds a younger woman, which he will, maybe he'll stay and he'll just cheat on you forever. Maybe he'll stay and just beat you forever. But you have to hinge everything on this man staying in line and not being selfish when he was raised in a system that taught him to be nothing but selfish. So yeah, the house always wins. Patriarchy's out. Therese says this all the time. The house always wins. And yet women are they're betting against the house. Don't do it. You need your own money. And so if you stay at home, please figure out a way to make that man pay you what he would be paying someone to do all that stuff. It's not his money. Seriously, is this what you want to do? Because this woman is raising 8 children without nannies. The only person helping her is the person homeschooling them and her husband every once in a while. Is this what you want? You want to do this when you put milk in your coffee? You know, it's like this kind of thing. She goes into some of the other ones. It's like Nara Smith is another one. So Nara Smith is a model and an influencer. Like the crazy thing is that these women are making money off of pretending to be stay-at-home moms. That's the part that fascinates me. I promise you, they probably make even more money off of this woman has built off of the trad wife stuff at the stupid farm. And like one of these women, these influencers, like, keep up your beauty. You and your husband will benefit. Like, this stuff is just next level insane to me. How does a woman with 8 children have time for this? She also points out that she says many women I know who have and want a life that looks like totally different are addicted to watching all this crap. Although others are served it by an algorithm as if it is grooming us into submission. Some people watch it, like hate watch it, but that people are watching some of it to criticize, some of it to hate watch it. Some women is escapism. Either way, the more we watch this crap, the more it's going to churn this crap out. We need to stop watching this stuff. Seriously. I watched it to make this, but I don't watch it. I don't even hate watch it. I do not want to give any more money to this family or to the Mormon church, which is where most of their money probably goes. So just if you don't believe me, look, trad wives are seen as a counterculture against the rot of low birth weight rates. Stop worrying about low birth weight rates. That whole argument is all a lie. We don't care. Low birth rates, good, because women are going to be okay. It is men that are not okay with low birth rates. This isn't isolated. It is part of a wider political anxiety that I'm worried might ultimately end in an attempt to circumscribe women's lives. So this was like a writer, a scientist, a behavioral scientist. So even though this woman is the most well-known trad wife, other than Nara, she's never attached herself to that movement or even used the term. How does she feel about it? Well, Daniel pipes in, we were already together doing what we were doing. I was already like rooting her into submission before y'all came around and told her that she's a trad wife. Look at this. Daniel replies, instead. So good. And then trad wife came along. We can't help it. That is what we are. If we're trad dad, trad wife, so be it. You silly people, you stupid labels. We're just living our billionaire life out here. We're just a common billionaire family creating content to shame women and trick women into this. We're just living our billionaire life. What's wrong with y'all? Neeleman, I hope I'm saying her name right, however, thinks otherwise. I don't necessarily identify with it because we are traditional in the sense that it's a man and a woman. We have children, but I do feel like we're paving a lot of paths that haven't been paved before. Whatever that means. And that's the biggest paradigm. In selling the life as a stay-at-home mother, Neeleman and other tradwives have created high-earning jobs. They are being paid to act out a fantasy. So she's just like, I don't know, for me to have the label of a traditional woman. She continues cautiously. This woman is trying to tell us about this man without outright saying it, although she's not as subtle, which I love. I'm kind of like, I don't know if I identify with that. I wanted to be a ballerina, and now I'm doing all this stuff. I don't want to be a trad wife, but I am a trad wife, and I make my money off of being a trad. I would love to know if she gets to keep this money. Does she have her own bank account? I want to know, because that will tell me exactly what this relationship is like. Is the husband the head of the household here? No, Daniel says. We're co-CEOs. Yeah, she says, we are co-CEOs. Interesting. Co-CEOs means that she should be making decisions about her childbirth, which we're going to get into in a second. She should be making decisions about having nannies. But he's making the decisions around all this, so it sounds like he's the CEO. Look at this crap, y'all. God. Is she a feminist? I feel like I'm a She stops herself. There's so many different ways you could take that word. I don't even know what feminism means anymore. She absolutely feels as though she has become politicized by other people. Yeah, your husband, one of them. We try so hard to be neutral. You can't be neutral. And be ourselves and people. And people will put label on everything. This is just our normal billionaire life. Just like every other billionaire. Just like you. This is where I want to pay attention. We head outside and into the truck. Daniel driving, me in the front, Neeleman and the toddlers in the back. Just throw the wife in the back. The other kids are being homeschooled in the barn, where they learn a Mormon Christian syllabus taught by a woman who lives down the track. I am told I will sit down with Neeleman one-on-one later in the afternoon. So she's setting up here that this man is going to stall so that she has as little time with his wife as possible. This is so intentional, y'all. We pass the family's minibus, a 15-seater. Is the aim to fill it? She asks. Someday, yeah, Daniel says. And then his wife, she says, we're getting old and worn out. She says, baby Flora strapped to her chest, sounding less sure. So we'll see. God, she sounds like such a southern white woman, y'all. Yeah. But that's exactly how, like, these Christian nationalist, fundamentalist, the women's, yeah, like she's trying to say something different, but like can't really say it. This man, look, 15-seater. He has every intention to keep knocking this woman up until she dies. She clearly is not on board with this, but is like, maybe we'll see. Any southern white woman knows we'll see is like, oh God. It's a no for her, but she knows she's probably gonna have to do it no matter what. Now, she notes here that they have 3 full-time employees on the farm, 30 at the warehouse, more than 10 in the office, and a creative director who manages the website, visuals. No nannies though. No nannies, no help for her, only for him. I ask when we get a moment alone while Daniel checks the animals if this is what she always wanted. No. I mean, I was like, she pauses. She knows she's got to word this very carefully, y'all. He's going to read this. My goal was New York City. I left home at 17. I was so excited to get there. I just loved that energy, and I was going to be a ballerina. I was a good ballerina. Ugh. She pauses again. Again, she's got to keep herself in check. Doesn't want this man to leave her. I feel like she's doing like a, you know, like Morse code with us, being like, help, help. I can't say it, but I'm trying to say it. But I knew that when I started to have kids, my life would start to look different. This is what she's been doing for 10 years. She always has a baby on her. Imagine doing this while doing this. So now some backstory. She was the 8th of 9 children born to Mormon parents in Springville, near Salt Lake City. So it doesn't, I mean, doesn't come from like billionaire money. They ran a florist, and the children were homeschooled, of course. But she gravitated towards ballet. At 14, she went to summer school at Juilliard, returning for her undergraduate degree, which she paid for by competing in scholarship pageants, beauty pageants that offer academic scholarships or sometimes tuition money to winners. So it sounds like she paid for her own schooling and stuff. So it's already there's a power imbalance because it doesn't sound like she grew up in poverty or anything. Sounds like middle class or maybe upper middle class. I don't know. But if you marry a billionaire, honey, I mean, have you seen Succession? I don't even want to ever talk to a billionaire, to be honest. You will never convince me all of them aren't like sociopaths at some level. Daniel grew up as a Mormon, in a Mormon family, one of 9, in Connecticut. Son of David Neeleman, billionaire founder of a number of commercial airlines, including JetBlue. His upbringing was moneyed and suburban. Was this what he always wanted? I asked him when he walked back over. Yes. And this is the point right here. This is not what she ever wanted. She wanted to be a ballerina. Now she has the word ballerina on the farm account, but she is not a ballerina. She's nowhere near the ballerina. She is living his little childhood dream. And I can't tell you how many women. This is why I'm making all this content. Do not move onto a boat with these dudes. Don't move into a van with these dudes. Don't move to another country for these dudes. Do not do this. These men, this is their little adventure of life. They are the motorcycle. You are the sidecar. You are tagging along. You are nothing. You are literally like, you are not, they are the main character. You're like supporting character at best. You're an audience member. You're the director. You're the manager. But everything is about them. I expected... stand this man. I expected Hannah to be more at home with the kids. But she said, I watch my parents working together, and so whatever we do, we got to do it together. So he wanted her home. He's like, okay, well, compromise. I'll create a home environment where you do nothing but endless labor, and we'll do it together. I'll be the tough cowboy. I'll be the tough cowboy who gets to wear my little cowboy hat, my cowboy boot. And you be the little pageant beauty queen that is always pregnant, who doesn't have any help, and endless labor of not only taking care of 8 kids, but taking care of, I don't even know how many cows, chickens. And he's out there in his little tractor, like being a little hero. Look at me, I'm a big tough man. Look at me and the big pigs. Dude literally got a beauty queen and then put her in a cage. Out in the brutal elements of middle of nowhere, Utah. And, you know, this crap. This was literally what he posted today. Why are you putting a baby so close to a cow? Like, ugh. She'll never know life without the dairy. What's really funny is this dude has all kinds of help. He has people who help. He buys this manure collector. He is all about making his work easy, but she's not allowed to have a nanny. Okay, she's not allowed to use pain medicine, any painkillers for childbirth. But he's buying this crap. This is literally from his post today. I can't tell you how many men are like, I want to have a farm. And then, like, this dude does, this is literally the dude with the chick. Like, I don't know anything about chickens. I'm just going to bring one on my boat. This guy probably didn't know anything about farming. It's like, I'm going to buy a big old ranch with my daddy's money, and then I'm going to keep 9 people hostage out there with me. Also, I saw this quote. I hope he didn't really say this, but people say he said this. I always like babies, and as soon as they start to say no, I'm ready for another one. I don't know if this is real, but I was like, when I saw this, I was like, ah! So he is totally fine with employing people to make his life easier. And all he does, like abusive men do, like cults do as well, is burden the people they control with endless labor and never let them rest. He was 23 and she was nearly too young. She was 21 and they were introduced at a basketball game. I saw her and I was ready to go. Do you think a 23-year-old really knows himself, knows what he wants? He was like, oh, that one, I want her. Like, not in a good way, y'all. Sign me up. I was thinking, let's get married. She wouldn't go on a date with me for 6 months. You see, she used to have boundaries, but you broke all of them down. This part is scary because it's meant to be like their little meet cute story, and I find this terrifying. One day she mentioned to Daniel that she was getting, remember, 6 months she wouldn't go on a date with him. One day she mentioned that she was getting a 5-hour flight from Salt Lake to New York. back to Juilliard, where she was studying to become, I mean, if you don't know anything about Juilliard, if you're not from the US, this is literally like, y'all, this came up in one of those stories if you've been following me for a while. That woman who moved to Alaska to be a volunteer search and rescuer when she met a man, and instead of working at Juilliard, one of maybe the most prestigious school of arts definitely in the United States, if not the world. She's at Juilliard pursuing ballet. You know how hard it is to get into that? So she's on her way back to her dream. She didn't know his daddy owned the airline at the time. So Daniel was like, I'm on the same flight, she says. I remember checking in and saying, you're 5, and them saying, you're 5A and you're 5B. And I just thought, no way, that's crazy. Daniel smiles. I made a call. He had pulled some strings at JetBlue, so began their first date. This reminds me of The Notebook, and that dude just wouldn't leave her alone. Not the same. Remember Ryan Gosling's character? He's like, I don't want to date you. She's on a date with another dude. And then he hangs off a Ferris wheel and was like, I'm going to come with you if you don't go out with me. And she's like, fine. And then they fell in love. He had no for 6 months to go even on a date with him. And then, wow, he ends up next, and he literally, like, non-consensually forces her to date him. Like, their first date is being forced to sit next to him on his daddy's plane. This is like the grossest meet cute. Hello, Grapey. Back then I thought we should date for a year before marriage, she continues. This is really important, y'all. So I could finish school and whatever, live your life. She's like 21. She's 21, y'all. She just turned the age to be able to drink. Frontal cord lobe's not even fully developed or whatever. And Daniel was like, it's not going to work. We've got to get married now. Why? They just met. We got to get married now. Hello, love bombing. Hello, like what? After a month, they were engaged. A month. She's 21. He's 23. You really think this man knows himself, love, anything? This is all about power and control, baby. That is nothing else. This is so gross. 2 months after they were married, 2 months after they were married, moving into an apartment Daniel rented in the Upper West Side. And 3 months after that, she was pregnant. When I tell you men baby trap you, and especially abusive men, this is one of the biggest red flags. Why you got to see these red flags before you actually get stuck with their baby. I told y'all before, my ex, when I got an IUD, as soon as I started dating him, and he said out loud once, I wish you didn't have that IUD, now you can leave. And then I joked, you can't trap me with a baby, I just abort that shit. If you really want to trap me, you get a dog. And don't ever do this, because he brought in a puppy within a couple days, and I had to rehome that puppy. This baby trapping, what is it called? Reproductive abuse or something? Gross. I don't care that they're Mormon. It's still messed up. I know the rules of Mormon. They're not supposed to get married so young. I know all that. Still, because it wasn't just this. Within 3 months, engaged after a month, married after 2, pregnant after 3 months after getting married. The first Juilliard undergraduate to be expecting in modern history. That's what's on her Wikipedia page, by the way. So he gets a job from his daddy, because he's never going to have to work. His dad's just going to give him stuff to do. A security company, great. That's even more concerning. Look at this. Moving their young family to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Another isolation tactic. Love bombing. Knocked her, isolated her. All within a very short period of time. Where before long, she had 3 kids under the age of 4. At first, she was still dancing professionally. The family eventually settled in Utah. Now she doesn't dance at all, other than for us on TikTok or whatever. Our first few years of marriage were really hard. We sacrificed a lot, she says. By we, she means her. But we did have the vision, this dream, and Daniel interrupts. We still do. What kind of sacrifices, I ask her. Well, I gave up dance, which was hard. You give up a piece of yourself. And Daniel gave up his career ambitions. Yeah, right. You think this man wanted to work? Oh, he's just like playing on a farm. Look at me and my tractor. I doubt he had any ambitions other than to control like 9 people. His little farm. Look what she says here. I look out at the vastness. This is the writer right here. And don't totally agree. Daniel wanted to live in the great western wilds, so they did. He wanted to farm, so they did. He likes date nights once a week, so they go. They have a babysitter on those evenings. Only a babysitter if it somehow benefits him having date night, which probably means that he's going to get lit. You know, he didn't want nannies in the house, so there aren't any. The only space, now this is so important, y'all, the only space earmarked to be hers, her own, a small barn she wanted to convert into a ballet studio, which ended up becoming the kids' schoolroom. Y'all know what I just made a video about man cave. Women are the ones who need she sheds, she caves, whatever you want to call it. And the only place that was hers where she could get away from these kids and not have them hanging off her hair and hanging off her boobs and literally sucking the life out of her is this place, and they converted it into a schoolroom for the children. This woman has nothing to herself in this marriage. But look at this. Daniel wants to take me to see the new dairy farm buildings. This is intentional. He is doing this intentionally. While she goes back to the house to make lunch for the kiddos, we stop at the irrigation ditch, which he explains. The offices, which he explains. The milk stations, which he explains. I check my watch, feeling edgy. I want to talk to her. Just one more stop, he says. This man is like, this is like, this man, you will never convince me this man is not like, just one more stop. He is literally trying to avoid her being alone with his wife. So then she says, she calls, and he's like, okay, we're heading your way, and drives in the opposite direction. He is trying to keep these two women separated for as long as possible because he knows she may open her mouth. Opposite direction, into the fields to show me another ditch. This woman came all the way from the UK, all the way out to the middle of nowhere, Utah, to spend 4 hours with this woman. And he's driving her around showing her ditches. Don't tell me that's not intentional. Finally, we get back to the kitchen, sitting at the table surrounded by an ever-changing number of children. Someone spills a pail of milk all over all this chaos is happening. We have an hour to talk before she has to take some of them to ballet class. Isn't that funny? She can't barely do ballet anymore because this man keeps her busy. Turned her studio into the classroom for the kids, and one of her jobs is taking them to ballet class. If that is not I don't know what is. I noticed there's no TV. We watch some stuff on computers, says a dog. YouTube videos? No, just Little House on the Prairie. You can't make this up, y'all. No wonder these kids are wearing all this stuff. They don't know that other kids don't wear this dumb stuff. How about iPads? No. How about iPhones? No. This is the 8-year-old, but sometimes you go to our cousins and play it on the phone. Then we're like addicted to them. Yeah, because they have no idea what life outside of this little cult commune is like. This man literally has his own little cult. They have a cleaner, but no childcare. Neeleman does all the food shopping. This man is a billionaire and he will not pay for a food shopper. Kids in tow. I am telling you, if this man is purposely burdening her, like weighing her down physically with kids. Oh my God. And she cooks from scratch. They don't do ready meals. Despite the more traditional aspects of the relationship, Daniel is hands-on father, taking the kids out to the farm and doing all the laundry. Oh, good, he does laundry. He lets them tag along and watch him do what he wants to do. Remember I told you, they want to marry a woman who will watch them watch TV, watch them play video games, or just let them go do the thing with their homies outside of the house, right? They go to their sports game, whatever. They get to do their thing. But in the home, everything's about them and what they want to do. So even the kids, how much do you want to bet this man doesn't play with the kids? Like, I'm sure, whatever, maybe for the camera. But everything is just like they follow him to go do his stuff. Oh, he does laundry though. What a great guy. The children appear to look after each other quite well. There are so many that they seem to have become almost self-sustaining entity. Daniel says, Neeleman sometimes gets so ill from exhaustion that she can't get out of bed for a week. I can't believe he actually said this out loud. Can't get out of bed for a week. So exhausted. Probably just piles all the kids in the bed with her when she's sick. This man is a billionaire. He could afford he hates her. He hates her. No man who loves a woman would do this to her. I don't care don't believe these pictures. Remember, wants to be a ballerina in New York City. And she's milking this thing. This part is just as scary. Bedroom is where she had her children, with the exception of Henry and Martha, who were born in the hospital. After that, I was like ready to go back home and have a kid. You know what? Of course. Who doesn't want to be at home when they have a baby? Hospital is safer, but a hospital is not a place that women get rest. They have people coming in, checking on you all the time. A hospital is a very stressful place to be. It's like the least restful place to be. So, you know, ideally, everyone would want to give birth at home, but it's dangerous. You understand how dangerous it is to give birth that far away from definitive care? I don't know how close the hospital is. As someone who was a wilderness first responder, I was trained to do major procedures 2 hours from definitive care. It means out hiking. However, if it takes 2 hours to get to the hospital, that is a wilderness first responder situation. I bet there's no hospital for like emergency stuff. Like this man, oh God, I just love them at home, having him at home. It's so quiet. She also gave birth to them with no pain relief. None at all? She shakes her head. Why? I don't know. I've never loved taking it. She stops herself. Except with Martha. I was 2 weeks overdue and she was 10 pounds. Oh my God, a 10-pound baby. And Daniel wasn't with me. That right there is the most important part of the sentence. He wasn't with her. That's why she got pregnant. She lowers her voice. Daniel is currently out of the room taking a phone call. So I got an epidural and it was amazing. An amazing experience. She has to whisper that. Oh, this woman is whispering with her husband in the house. If you were ever having to do this, to tell the truth about something like this, you are in an abusive relationship. You will never convince me otherwise. It doesn't matter if he never lays a hand on. This is coercive control. I'm sorry. Nobody should be this afraid of talking to someone else when their husband is in the house. Where was Daniel that day? I was shipping. It was shipping day for the meat boxes, and he was manning a crew. This man's a billionaire. He could have taken the day off. I promise you, he could have taken the day off. He just didn't. He hates her. But the epidural was kind of great. She pauses and smiles. It was kind of great. She wants the epidural, and this man won't let her have it. You will not convince me otherwise. This is abuse. I want to ask her about birth control, but we are surrounded by so many of her children, and Daniel is back in the room now too. Do you? I pause and look at her face. Planned pregnancy? No, Daniel said. When he says no, Neeleman responds gently. It's very much a matter of prayer for me. I'm like, God, is it time to bring another one to the earth? And I've never been told no. Okay, your husband and your God, your idea of God, sound like rapists. I swear women will convince themselves that God's voice is like their, in turn, the abuser's voice. I swear to God. For whatever reason, it's exactly 9 months later, after a baby, that she's ready for the next one, he says. She's ready for the next one? It's definitely a matter of prayer, she said. It's a matter of prayer, but somehow it's exactly 9 months, he says. The Neelmans have strongly held Mormon beliefs, which they mention far more in person than they do online. The Mormon Church emphasizes heterosexual unions and sexual purity. It opposes elective abortion, allowing for exceptions only when it is like... Does she agree on the stance of abortion? The church is a lot more lenient than a lot of states in the U.S. Daniel says, the church is against, I'm going to get an abortion because I'm happy. I'm not happy I'm pregnant. We see the joy of having kids. And the sanctity of life, she says. Absolutely, he continued. That's probably why the church tells you, don't have sexual relations until marriage, because you might not have a kid. You're going to have a blah, blah, blah. I just don't even care what he has to say, but look at this. This right here is purity culture. Basically, they think it's sin. The author says, I can't, it seems, get an answer out of Neeleman without her being corrected, interrupted, or answered for by either her husband or a child. Usually I'm doing battle with the steely Hollywood publicist. Today, I'm up against an army of toddlers who all want their mom and a husband who thinks he knows better. Oh! Why, I asked you all the shows between pregnancies? Well, my sister called me and said, there's a Miss Utah match. Let's do it together just to get away from them. And I'm going to end it there, y'all. Part 2 is coming soon about the pageants and him. Comment for part 2. Super short version of the comment song, cause I'm running out of time. Look at his tongue, isn't he sweet baby? Super short comment song. 3, 2, 1, et voila.